Today is Wednesday, January 22nd. We'll tell you about President Trump's new limits on immigration and how dozens of states are fighting back. Also, a historic winter storm that paralyzed parts of the South and wildfires that triggered more mandatory evacuations in California. Plus, Elon Musk sparked controversy over a hand gesture. Netflix decided to raise prices again. And pro baseball has a groundbreaking new Hall of Famer. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. President Trump has started the aggressive immigration crackdown he's been promising, and he's getting help from the U.S. military. Reports say the Pentagon is already working up plans to send troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. It's a major shift in military priorities, since under normal circumstances, laws keep troops from acting as American law enforcement. But President Trump justified it this week when he signed an executive order describing the situation at the border as an invasion that threatens U.S. security. He gave U.S. Northern Command a month to come up with a plan to seal the border, specifically to combat mass migration, narcotics trafficking, human smuggling, gang trafficking, and more. Trump also signed a separate executive order that designates drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. That could allow the U.S. military to actually fight those groups. And migrants who pay any kind of fees to cartels, like ransoms or extortion payments, could be labeled as supporting a terror organization, meaning they won't be able to claim asylum in the U.S. The president also declared a national emergency at the border, opening up special federal funding. It also lets him send National Guard troops instead of waiting on governors to do so. Plus, the Trump administration is now allowing federal immigration officials to target schools, hospitals, and churches for immigration raids by scrapping a Biden-era policy that banned arrests in sensitive areas. All that said, Trump's crackdown could face legal obstacles. In fact, 22 states have already sued the new Trump administration over the president's birthright citizenship order, as did immigrant organizations and the ACLU. As we mentioned yesterday, that order says American-born children of unauthorized immigrants should not be counted as citizens. Same with babies whose mothers are here legally but temporarily, like foreign students or tourists. But the new lawsuits say Trump cannot do that, and neither can Congress, since birthright citizenship is guaranteed under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. Or at least, that's how courts have been interpreting the 14th Amendment for the last 150 years. Trump's order just interprets it differently, since the amendment doesn't specify any details about the baby's parents, just that people born here are citizens. Either way, the order doesn't take effect for a few weeks, so agencies can work through how they want to enforce it while courts decide on whether it's legal in the first place. President Trump is on a federal firing spree, getting rid of more than 1,000 government workers, including some who have been serving in leadership roles for years. For example, the first woman to ever lead a branch of the armed forces, Coast Guard Admiral Linda Fagan. Officially, the reasoning was leadership deficiencies, but sources told Reuters and other news outlets a lot of it had to do with her focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. Trump also got rid of the head of the TSA, who he originally picked during his first term. No reason was given for his firing. The president also fired everyone on the Aviation Security Advisory Committee that examines safety issues at airlines and airports, saying he wants to prioritize national security instead. Plus, key career officials at the Justice Department were reassigned, and they're certainly not alone. On social media, President Trump announced he's firing more than 1,000 people who were appointed by former President Biden because they're not aligned with the vision to make America great again. He even added, "You're fired," as a throwback to his catch line from The Apprentice. But the new administration has also done a lot of hiring. It picked up more than 1,300 staffers, a record for day one hires by any commander-in-chief, and thousands more are still expected to join. 2 Americans have been freed from Afghanistan as part of a prisoner swap. The deal was brokered by the Biden administration before leaving office on Monday. The U.S. government always said the Americans had been wrongfully detained, but now they're coming home. In exchange, the U.S. released Khan Mohammed. He was convicted in 2008 of terrorism for helping the Taliban get rockets to attack an American military base in Afghanistan. He was later convicted on charges of getting heroin and opium he knew were bound for the U.S. And he received 2 life sentences. But now he's back in Kabul. Apparently, the Biden administration has been negotiating this deal with the Taliban for years, and it was trying to include 2 other American captives still being held in Afghanistan, but the Taliban ultimately rejected offers to include them. The Trump administration says it's now demanding the Taliban release all Americans still in custody, as well as military equipment seized after the U.S. pulled out of the country in 2021. So, to be continued. A once-in-a-generation winter storm is wreaking havoc on the southern U.S., and sadly, at least 4 people have already died from the cold in areas unaccustomed to winter weather. The National Weather Service actually issued the first ever blizzard warning for parts of Texas and Louisiana. And already, an area stretching from Houston, Texas to Jacksonville, Florida, has seen several inches of snow. Parts of New Orleans even got 8 inches, which is unheard of considering the last modern record was less than 3 inches in 1963. Thousands of flights were canceled, major interstates were shut down, and schools and businesses closed. Snowstorm warnings last through this morning. But freezing temperatures are expected to stick around at least until tomorrow. Meanwhile, on the West Coast, more wildfires are breaking out. A few have been spreading just north of San Diego, prompting some evacuation orders, school closures, and power shutoffs. At the same time, in and around Los Angeles, firefighters have been making progress against the 2 biggest wildfires, and they were able to put out more small, scattered fires throughout the day yesterday. But extreme fire danger is sticking around. The National Weather Service extended its red flag warning until Thursday evening, citing strong winds and low humidity. Good news is there could be some relief coming. Forecasts show Southern California is about to get its first rain in months, likely on Friday. More news is still coming up, but first, thanks to our sponsor, Ancient Nutrition. The human body is an amazing thing. It can repair and grow in ways that are still pushing the limits of what science can explain, even in 2025. At the same time, as you age, your body's natural healing and building processes slow down. I've already felt a difference myself. And while it's totally normal, that doesn't mean there's nothing we can do about it. A collagen supplement from Ancient Nutrition can help. Ancient Nutrition's mission is to create high-quality supplements that combine the best of ancient wisdom and modern science. Ancient Nutrition's multi-collagen advanced lean supplement contains 10 types of collagen from 10 real food-based sources. This formula is powered by clinically studied ingredients that promote fat loss and healthy weight management. Collagen can also reduce joint discomfort and improve the look and growth of your skin, hair, and nails. And it's really simple to use. I've been scooping some into my morning coffee or smoothie, and that's all it takes to get the benefits. Right now, Ancient Nutrition is offering 25% off your first order when you go to ancientnutrition.com/newsworthy. That's ancientnutrition.com/newsworthy for 25% off your first order. ancientnutrition.com/newsworthy. Now back to the news. The new Department of Government Efficiency, aka DOGE, is up and running. President Trump officially created the unit with an executive order saying it will drive out waste and fraud until it goes away in 2026. Though details are still vague, with the executive order just saying the group will advance the president's DOGE agenda. You may remember when DOGE was first announced, Trump said the purpose was to provide cost-cutting guidance from outside of government. Well, now he's made it an office within the White House. And that's not the only change. Before he took office, Trump put billionaires Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy in charge of DOGE. But this week, Ramaswamy announced he was stepping back, as he's expected to announce a run for Ohio governor soon. Meanwhile, Musk is wasting no time making cuts. And all in all, Musk says he's confident he'll be able to find $1 trillion to slash from the federal budget. But he is facing some headwinds, like several lawsuits. The suits say DOGE violates the Federal Advisory Committee Act. That law basically says committees need to act transparently and publicly and should include representation by people who could be impacted by their work. So the legal question will be whether DOGE really is a committee or a unit within the executive branch. Another hurdle for DOGE, its leader is no stranger to controversy. Just this week, Elon Musk sparked a lot of anger over a hand gesture he did while speaking at a rally in Washington, D.C. Twice, he extended his arm out with his palm facing down, and right away, it drew comparisons to a Nazi salute. There has been backlash, and many people all around the world have asked Musk to explain himself. White nationalist groups also recognize the gesture as a nod to their movement, saying they see it as a sign that neo-Nazism is back. But Musk also has defenders who say people are just reading too much into it, that Musk just did an awkward gesture in a moment of enthusiasm. Some point to his words for meaning, since he said right after, with his hand over his heart, quote, "My heart goes out to you." As for Musk himself, he made light of the criticism, saying, quote, "The everyone is Hitler attack is so tired." For now, the speculation continues. Tech companies are joining forces and investing $500 billion in American artificial intelligence. President Trump announced the move yesterday through a project called Stargate. OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank are behind it. and their goal is to create 100,000 jobs. Other major tech players like Microsoft and NVIDIA will also be involved. Most of the money will go toward building data centers and energy production facilities they need to operate. Trump says the ultimate goal is to keep America ahead of AI competitors like China and to keep creating AI jobs in the U.S. Streaming giant Netflix picked up a record number of subscribers at the end of 2024, and now it's raising prices. 19 million people signed up for Netflix in the fourth quarter, beating out records set during the height of the COVID pandemic. There are now more than 300 million people subscribed to Netflix around the world. Netflix credits its push into live sports as a big reason for the subscriber jump. On top of that subscriber record, Netflix also saw huge revenue gains as compared to the year before. Still, Netflix said it's raising the price on most of its plans in the U.S. and Canada. The price increases go into effect at the start of each customer's next billing cycle. The Baseball Hall of Fame has 3 new members, including one who made history. Ichiro Suzuki is the first Asian player to become a member of the Hall. He was a legend during his time playing professionally in Japan and America and racked up more hits than any player ever. It was Ichiro's first year of eligibility, and he was only 1 vote shy of being a unanimous pick. Joining Ichiro in the Hall are pitchers CC Sabathia and Billy Wagner. Sabathia won a World Series with the Yankees. Wagner was a dominant relief pitcher, most notably with the Houston Astros. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Work Wednesday, when we break down one interesting career or work-related news story every Wednesday. But first, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Maybe you're ready for something to feel a little bit different in 2025. Whether you want to be the author of a whole new story for your life this new year, or just make a couple of revisions, therapy can be your sort of editorial partner, helping you write new chapters or just tweak a few sentences in a way that will actually feel better. In fact, in my experience, therapy can even help you recognize the stories you've been telling yourself about your life that aren't even true. From eye-opening revelations to simple positive coping strategies, therapy empowers you to be your best self. And it isn't just for people with trauma. Therapy can be helpful for all different types of people with all different experiences. BetterHelp is also fully online, so it's affordable and convenient, serving 5 million people worldwide, with access to a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. And of course, you can switch therapists at any time at no extra cost. So write your story with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/newsworthy today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Work Wednesday. Among all the executive orders President Trump signed his first day in office, one could impact hundreds of thousands of people's work lives. It says all federal employees have to return to in-person work full-time, no more remote jobs. Of course, the government is not the only employer trying to get workers back in the office. Major companies like Amazon, JP Morgan, and AT&T have all said employees will have to return to the office full-time in 2025. But employers who want workers back may not be able to follow through on their plans right away. Amazon, for example, had to delay its return to office order in some places because office space needed to be arranged or rearranged. And companies could get some pushback, too. Already, some remote workers who have caregiving responsibilities say they're not eager to return to a rigid schedule outside the home 5 days a week. But others seem to have gotten tired of the isolation that can come with remote work. One fully remote worker told the New York Times she misses office chatter, and others enjoyed their pre-pandemic work routines. Well, this could be why hybrid approaches to work are still very popular. Well, thank you for listening today and for sharing the show if you got value out of it. We'll be back tomorrow with more news to know. Until then, have a great day.